We're in the middle of this long speech of the Supreme in response to Savitri's soul choice, the soul's choice, and the supreme consummation. He has granted the boons that she asked for earth and men, and now he's telling her what this will mean for her. Later on, he will tell what this is going to mean for the earth. But for now, he's telling her what it will mean for her. The wheeling forces of my universe shall cry to thee the summons of my name. Delight shall drop down from my nectarous moon. My fragrance seize thee in the jasmine's snare. My eye shall look upon thee from the sun. Mirror of nature's secret spirit made, thou shalt reflect my hidden heart of joy. Thou shalt drink down my sweetness unalloyed in my pure lotus cup of starry brim. My dreadful hands laid on thy bosom shall force thy being bathed in fiercest longings streams. Thou shalt discover the one and quivering note, and cry the harp of all my melodies, and roll my foaming wave in seas of love. Even my disaster's clutch shall be to thee the ordeal of my rapture's contrary shape. In pain's self shall smile on thee my secret face. Thou shalt bear my ruthless beauty unabridged amid the world's intolerable wrongs. Trampled by the violent misdeeds of time, cry out to the ecstasy of my rapturous touch. All beings shall be to thy life my emissaries, drawn to me on the bosom of thy friend, compelled to meet me in thy enemy's eyes. My creatures shall demand me from thy heart. Thou shalt not shrink from any brother soul. Thou shalt be attracted helplessly to all. Men seeing thee shall feel my hands of joy. In sorrow's pangs feel steps of the world's delight. Their life experience its tumultuous shock in the mutual craving of two opposites. Hearts touched by thy love shall answer to my call. Discover the ancient music of the spheres in the revealing accents of thy voice, and nearer draw to me because thou art. Enamored of thy Spirit's loveliness, they shall embrace my body in thy soul. Hear in thy life the beauty of my love. Know the thrilled bliss with which I made the worlds. All that thou hast shall be for others' bliss. All that thou art shall to my hands belong. I will pour delight from thee as from a jar. I will whirl thee as my chariot through the ways. I will use thee as my sword and as my lyre. I will play on thee my minstrelsies of thought. And when thou art vibrant with all ecstasy, and when thou livest one spirit with all things, then will I spare thee not my living fires, but make thee a channel for my timeless force. Which side do we start today? This side?
The breathing forces of my universe shall cry to thee the summons of my name. Delight shall drop down from my nectarous moon. My fragrance sees thee in the jasmine's snare. My eye shall look upon thee from this sun.
Thank you. This is continuing from what we read last week, where he said, thou shalt know me in the rolling of the spheres, and cross me in the atoms of the world. The universe is in constant movement. No? The forces of the universe are wheeling, moving in great cycles. He says all those forces, those cyclic forces of the universe, will be crying to you the summons of my name. A summons is when you call somebody to you, imperatively calling somebody to you. So it will be the name of the Supreme that will be calling to her imperatively through all the universal movements. The moon in Indian tradition is associated with nectar, with soma, the divine drink that keeps the gods immortal. and with delight. So he says, delight shall drop down from my nectarous moon, the moon shedding sweetness, coolness, delight. My fragrance sees thee in the jasmine's snare. There's something so attractive about the scent of the jasmine in the night, no? Especially that night jasmine, the double kind. No? So he says, you will recognize that is my fragrance that's catching hold of you when you smell the beautiful jasmine. And when you stand beneath the sun, you'll recognize that it's my eye looking down on you. You will feel my presence in all the movements and scenes and happenings of the universe. There, Ben.
The mirror of nature's secret spirit made, thou shalt reflect my hidden heart of joy. Thou shalt drink down my sweetness unalloyed in my pure lotus cup of stereo healing.
He says you will be made like a mirror that gives a pure reflection of the secret spirit in nature, that secret spirit which is fulfilling the divine will always. You will be reflecting that perfectly. You will be reflecting my hidden heart of joy. At the heart of the universe is the divine delight of the Lord. And when people see you, they will see that reflected in your being. And you yourself will be experiencing my sweetness, the sweetness of the divine presence, unalloyed, undiluted, unspoiled, completely pure. No? You'll be drinking it down from my pure lotus cup of starry brim. How to say what this means? It's pure poetry. No? Of course, the lotus is like a cup, no? And we always think of the lotus as containing, expressing something divine. No? But he's saying it's a cup with the starry brim. All around the edge of it are the lovely lights of truth. Alice?
My dreadful hands laid on thy bosom shall force thy being day in fiercest longings streams. Thou shalt discover the one and quivering note, and cry the heart of all my melodies, and roll my foaming way in seas of love.
He's promising her unimaginable intensities of emotion and experience. So he says, you will feel my hands on your bosom, compelling you. And your whole being will be bathed in streams of intense, passionate longing. And in this experience, you will discover the one and quivering note, as if there's one note that has originated all this universe, which is supporting it. No? But at the same time, you will be expressing like a harp. A harp is a beautiful musical instrument with many strings that have a specially moving tone to them. He says, you will be like the harp of all my melodies. I will be playing on you all the different music of feeling and beauty that I'm carrying within me. And at the same time, you'll have the experience of being like a wave in my oceans of love, rolling, moving, emerging from the ocean and sinking back into it again in seas of love.
This word dreadful is like...
You know, Aurobindo is doing this all the time. Sometimes he uses a word that we think how inappropriate. He's just shocking us by this bringing in these conjuries. But perhaps you can remember or imagine that sometimes very intense feelings, even if they're delightful feelings, even if they're feelings of love and delight, they can be so powerful that you almost can't bear them. So I think that's what he's suggesting here, that the hands of the Lord give such an intense delight, it's almost unbearable. Yeah? You read it, yeah.
Even when disaster, what shall be with thee? The ordeal of my rapid and travel shall, in haste shall smile on thee my secret state. Thou shalt bear my ruthless beauty and age. Aim
Amid.
The world's intolerable wrongs, trampled by the violent misdeeds of time, cry out to the ecstasy of my rapid touch.
Yes. I think I mentioned last week, that these experiences which Sri Aurobindo is expressing here in this amazing poetry corresponds to what he's telling us in the Life Divine about the nature of the supramental being and experience. It's going to be something so very, very different from our experience. So here he's saying that there will be disasters. There are terrible misdeeds, violent misdeeds of time, but you will experience them as an ordeal, a painful test. But it's the painful test that's brought to you by this intense rapture, my ecstasy, my rapture, appearing in a contrary shape, in disguise, looking like its opposite. So even in pain, you will see the smile, my smile, coming from my secret space. You will see that. And you will have to bear the intensity of my beauty. Here again, he's using an apparently paradoxical word. He says, ruthless. This beauty, it won't spare you. It will be so intense, it will be difficult to bear. And you're going to have to bear it unabridged, not lessened in any way, in its full intensity. Even amid all the intolerable wrongs of the world, you will have to see my beauty there in all those terrible things. And even when you yourself feel trampled on, trampling, when you tread with your feet on something, trampled by the violent misdeeds of time, you will cry out to the ecstasy of my rapture's touch. There are terrible things going on in the world, and he doesn't promise that they are going to stop immediately. But he's telling her, you will have to experience them in another way, with much, much more intensity. You will feel the pain more, but you will also feel the delight more. Sarojini.
All beings shall to be thy life, my miseries drawn to me on the bosom of thy friend. Compelled to meet me in thy enemy's eyes. My creatures shall demand me from thy heart. Thou shalt not shrink from any brother's soul. Thou shalt be attracted, helpless to all.
Thank you. Yes. So all beings, you will experience them as my messengers, emissaries, are people who are sent with a message. No? So all the beings that you encounter, you will feel that they've come to you with a message from me. You will be attracted to me, embraced by me, when your friend embraces you. No? But you will also be compelled to recognize me in the eyes of your enemy. You won't be able to shrink, you won't be able to hold yourself back from any brother soul, any soul, whether he's your enemy or your lover or who he is. You won't be able to shrink because you will be attracted helplessly to all. Tone.
Man seeing thee shall feel my hands of joy. In sorrow's bands, feel the steps of the world's delight. Their life experience its tumultuous shock in the mutual craving of two opposites.
Yes. This, I think, is taking up again this idea of the mirror. You know? So everyone who sees you will feel as if my hands of joy are touching them. By seeing you, they will feel touched by my joy. And seeing you, even if they are suffering from sorrow, they will, in that sorrow, they will feel steps of the world's delight, as if that sorrow is preparing for some future joy. And their lives, when they see you, will experience this tumultuous, it's like a storm, a stormy sea, the tumultuous shock in the mutual craving of two opposites, two opposite feelings, two opposite powers being attracted to each other. As if the sorrow and the joy are coming together in a shock. Kamala.
Hearts touched by thy love shall answer to my call. Discover the ancient music of the spheres, in the revealing essence of thy voice, and nearer draw to me because thou art. In honor of thy spirit's loveliness, thou shalt embrace my body in thy soul. Here is thy light, the beauty of my God. Know the truth with which I made the world.
Thank you. Hearts that are touched by your love, this love that you're going to be spreading around you to everyone, they will answer my call. They'll be attracted to me. And when they hear your voice, the revealing accents of your voice, they will discover the ancient music of the spheres. There's an old tradition that if your ears are attuned, you can hear the universal music, that the spheres are moving and rolling, and as they move, each of them has a particular note, and together those notes make up a beautiful music. So they will hear that music in your voice. When I read these lines, I can't help thinking of our mother. She has read all these lines, I told you, no, from several pages back. From the top of page 600, no. The top of page 696 to page 702, middle. She's made this wonderful recording of these lines. We play it sometimes. Probably next month we will play it on 17th of November. This is a voice that's vibrating with the ancient music of the spheres. And there's something about the accents, the expression of the mother's voice, which reveals something, reveals some deep meaning. So people who are touched by your love will respond to my call. They'll hear that ancient music of the spheres in the revealing accents of thy voice, and nearer draw to me because thou art.
Shraddhavan?
Yes.
It's true what you said, but I listened maybe in the CD of Agenda, I don't remember, not so long. And mother played harmonium.
And she's singing.
And suddenly singing. And he's very, 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 very... and he continued, I said, oh God. Alors maybe he's sphere.
If you've read Mona Sarkar's book, I think it's the book called Sweet Mother. The mother has revealed many things to Mona Sarkar, but particularly in one place she has spoken about the power of her voice. It's something like this. So those people who are touched by your love, they will fall in love with the loveliness of my spirit, and they will embrace my body in thy soul. Don't know what he means. In thy life, those people will hear my laugh of delight, my laugh of mockery. Sometimes the Lord makes fun of us. And they will know, they will experience the thrilled bliss with which I made the worlds. It's the supreme creative act, the Lord creating the worlds out of delight. The thrilled bliss with which I made the worlds. It's an experience. Joel.
All that thou hast shall be for others' bliss. All that thou art shall to my hands belong. I will pour delight from thee as from a jar. I will whirl thee as my chariot through the waves. I will use thee as my sword and as my lyre. I will play on thee my minstrelsies of thought.
Yes. So this is also what we read last night, no? For the realized being, all this delight and effort and experience, it's not for oneself. It's all part of the delight of the all. So he says, everything you have, it will be for the bliss of other people. And everything that you are will belong to me, to the One. And I am going to use you. I'm going to pour delight as out of a jar. I'm going to pour delight on everyone. And I'm going to make you my chariot. I will ride in you through the world and do my work. I will use thee as my sword. Sometimes she will be Kali. She will have to fight and destroy. But I'll also use you as my lyre, my musical instrument. And I will play on you my minstrelsies of thought. A minstrel is a musician, particularly a traveling musician who carries a lyre. That is his instrument. And these are all the melodies that thought can produce, all the wonderful, glorious, beautiful ideas. Slava, would you read?
And when body and when the heart and brain beat all ecstasy, and when the soul lifts one spirit with all things, then realize faith. Be not my living fire, but make me a channel for my guidance force.
Yes, this is like the ultimate experience, no? When you're vibrating with all ecstasies, all possible forms of ecstasy, and when you're united in spirit with all things, everything in the universe, then I will not spare you the intensities, the incredible intensities of my living fires. I will make you a channel to channel my force, my timeless force from beyond manifestation, the supreme tapas. I will pour all that through you. You will become the channel and the instrument. I think this is the supreme realization. and experience.
What do we say? Fires?
Sorry?
The fires, my fires?
You know what it's like if you just touch your finger into a flame for a minute. It's such an intense feeling. No? Imagine that the living fires of the Supreme are pouring through your whole being. What kind of a fiery experience that is going to be. No? That's why he says, I will not spare you. It's...
But fire is also very related to the understanding, not necessarily is the fire the light.
But here he says it's force. It's the conscious force. The creative conscious force. The Mother, actually, the Supreme Divine Mother. To be able to bear this, the human instrument has to be completely transformed. No? Otherwise it's not possible. Sergei, you would read?
My hidden presence, let the unknowing come. From thy beginning, we have built this bosom, for life and pain, and time, and will, and death, through outer shocks and inner silences, along the mystic roads of space and time, to that experience which all nature hides.
Yes. So this is an experience which mystics have talked about, no? Waking up to the realization that all their existence, all their many lives, they have been led on, unknowing. They were not aware, but the Lord was leading them on without them knowing it. From the beginning, in earth's voiceless bosom, in matter. I've told you before about Uda's experience. He told Mother that he'd had an experience, a vision or a dream of being a pebble on the beach. And she and Aurobindo were also pebbles on the beach nearby. And she said, yes, it is right. So we've all been being led unknowingly on from our beginnings in earth's voiceless bosom, through life and pain and time and will and death, through outer shocks and inner silences, along the mystic roads of space and time. We've been led unknowing on towards the experience that all nature hides, that ultimate experience of realizing who we are, where we've come from, and where we've reached.
But here the nature is also simultaneously evolving, no? So how do you say?
Yes, but when we say nature, usually we mean our human nature, and we mean all these outer forms and appearances. So while we are being led unknowing on, nature is hiding from us a great secret, and that gets revealed to us eventually. And now he's describing to Savitri what that experience is like.
Like steam has so much energy that it can pull, like that steam engine has invented.
But
it's nature's energy, it hides from human beings.
Not
in a material way, I'm thinking.
Yes, that's in a material way. But all the material appearances are hiding the presence of the Lord from us. And when we become aware of that, then everything changes its significance. Many mystics have spoken about it. The moment when they realize that they remember all their experience in time, and they realize it was leading up to this moment of knowing that everything is divine, is the divine. Ganga Lakshmi.
Once in season, my captive grew. They shout out as folklore from the heartbeats. Forever, Lord, oh beautiful slave of God.
Yes. So Mother has said, this is the line in Savitri which she has written it. Yes, we have a copy of that. The line in Savitri that moved her most. And she had an interesting experience in connection with it. She said when she first saw this line, she didn't read beautiful, she read powerful. But when she recorded it, she read beautiful. But she said, I asked Sri Aurobindo, why did I make that mistake? And he said, that's the truth of the future. For now it's the beautiful slave of God. Who hunts and seizes me. That's what she's been doing, no? She's been hunting the Lord and she seized hold of him, and so now she's become his slave, his captive. She will have to do everything he wants. No? This you'll learn in future from your heartbeats, that you will have to love forever. Oh, beautiful slave of God. Gumsun.
Oh, blossom my lectures, widening of news, become my cold of emotional. The spirit ensnared by thee forced to delight, O creation's oneness sweet and fathomless, compelled to embrace my
myriad
unities and all my endless forms and divine souls.
Yes. So you know what is a lasso? Hmm? It's a rope that's tied in a certain way. Clever people, cowboys and reindeer deer herders, they can throw that rope and snare an animal. He says, you will be like that. You will be this lasso, and made out of rapture, out of divine delight. And the noose of this lasso is going to become wider and wider and wider and wider. It will become my cord of universal love of all creatures and everything. So when you ensnare some spirit with your lasso of love, you will have to force it to experience the delight of creation's oneness, the oneness of the entire creation. It's a delight that is so sweet and fathomless, bottomless. There's no end to it. No? All those spirits that you catch in your noose, they will be compelled to embrace my myriad unities, all my so many onenesses that they can't be counted. Myriad, you can't count how many it is. They will have to embrace all my endless forms and all my divine souls. So that universal love, she will spread it, but it will spread wider and wider and wider until it includes everyone and everything. Dhanalakshmi.
Oh my
grow full of the eternal love. O word, cry on the immortal rejected. Built is the golden tower, the flame child.
So he addresses her as mind. O mind, grow full of the eternal peace. But she's also the creative word, the word of command and creation. O word, cry out the immortal litany. A litany is a sacred formula, like a mantra in Christianity. We have the litany, the sacred words. No? But this is the immortal litany. It doesn't belong to any religion. It is the formula that has always been there. And he puts it in these words. Built is the golden tower, the flame child born. Buddha says this line is the mantra that will transform the world. But I think all of them together, all the lines together.
Flame child born means?
I leave it to you to think it out or find out. Flame, of course, is aspiration, Agni. No? There's a child who's of flame and aspiration, born. So it's like when Mother says, a new world is born. The golden tower, the tower perhaps that links earth and the Supreme. It's
Dans le thème, il s'entretient comme Gold. Il paye to student. Ils écrivent in 1957.
Gold is the color of supermind because it's pure and incorruptible and it's the most precious thing that we have. So it symbolizes the truth and the truth consciousness.
To Savitri, flame child again.
Of course, it's connected with her name. Yes.
Because he is referring to her mind, then next line, word, then like a golden tower, and you are.
But he's put this colon after litany, after the immortal litany, as if this line encapsulates the litany. So that is the end of the first part of the Supreme's long speech. This is his sanction to Savitri. What you have chosen, I choose. It will all be worked out by the executor of my will, eternal time. But then he tells her, but since you've refused to merge back into me, because you've insisted on the transformation of the earth, for earth and men, this is what it is going to mean for you now. So that is what we have read in the last 3 weeks. And next, for the next many pages, he will tell what this is going to mean for the earth, for earth and men. To the bottom of page 710. The wheeling forces of my universe shall cry to thee the summons of my name. Delight shall drop down from my nectarous moon, my fragrance sees thee in the jasmine's snare. My eye shall look upon thee from the sun. Mirror of nature's secret spirit made, thou shalt reflect my hidden heart of joy. Thou shalt drink down my sweetness unalloyed in my pure lotus cup of starry brim. My dreadful hands laid on thy bosom shall force thy being bathed in fiercest longing's streams. Thou shalt discover the one and quivering note, and cry the harp of all my melodies, and roll my foaming wave in seas of love. Even my disaster's clutch shall be to thee the ordeal of my rapture's contrary shape. In pain self shall smile on thee my secret face. Thou shalt bear my ruthless beauty unabridged amid the world's intolerable wrongs. Trampled by the violent misdeeds of time, cry out to the ecstasy of my rapture's touch. All beings shall be to thy life my emissaries, drawn to me on the bosom of thy friend, compelled to meet me in thy enemy's eyes. My creatures shall demand me from thy heart. Thou shalt not shrink from any brother soul. Thou shalt be attracted helplessly to all. Men, seeing thee, shall feel my hands of joy. In sorrow's pangs feel steps of the world's delight. Their life experience its tumultuous shock in the mutual craving of two opposites. Hearts touched by thy love shall answer to my call. Discover the ancient music of the spheres in the revealing accents of thy voice, and nearer draw to me because thou art. Enamored of thy spirit's loveliness, they shall embrace my body in thy soul. Hear in thy life the beauty of my love. Know the thrilled bliss with which I made the worlds. All that thou hast shall be for others' bliss. All that thou art shall to my hands belong. I will pour delight from thee as from a jar. I will whirl thee as my chariot through the waves. I will use thee as my sword and as my lyre. I will play on thee my minstrelsies of thought. And when thou art vibrant with all ecstasy, and when thou livest one spirit with all things, then will I spare thee not my living fires, but make thee a channel for my timeless force. My hidden presence led thee unknowing on. From thy beginning in earth's voiceless bosom, through life and pain and time and will and death, through outer shocks and inner silences, along the mystic roads of space and time, to the experience which all nature hides. Who hunts and seizes me, my captive grows. This shalt thou henceforth learn from thy heartbeats. Forever love, O beautiful slave of God. O lasso of my rapture's widening noose, become my cord of universal love. The spirit ensnared by thee, forced to delight of creation's oneness, sweet and fathomless, compelled to embrace my myriad unities and all my endless forms and divine souls. O mind, grow full of the eternal peace. O word, cry out the immortal litany. Built is the golden tower the flame child born